This month we read a lot of books, and now it's time to take a look and monthly judge the books that we like best.
Hi, I'm Colby. Welcome to the very first CoverJudger.com's The Hits. Your virgin's with us. Recap of our favorite comics of the month. Woo! Take it away, Nick. Oh, this is Nick. And this is Seth. And we're here for you.
We're here from Cover Judger. We're going to list off our top 3 favorite comics of January 2015. It was a pretty good month.
Yeah. It's a great month.
For those that don't know, comics come out once a month in general. I don't know why you'd be watching this if you didn't know that. We're going to tell you what we liked about our number 3 and our number 2 in a fun, quick kind of way. And then we are going to extrapolate and just gush and go in depth about what we loved about our very favorite comic of the month. We read a ton of books, so saying it's the comic of the month for us,
Just what we liked the best.
it's just what we liked the best. But I mean, like what we liked the best, I don't know. It's still kind of a big deal. I probably read
Too many.
at least 50 a month. Anyway, after that, part 2 of the hits is we talk about the best first issue that came out in January. So these are comics that just started. This is issue number 1. I'm always a sucker for them, and I love them. And then part 3, we are talking specifically about a big thing that happened this month, which is Star Wars number 1 issue on Marvel came out.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Star Wars movies.
Star Wars movies, Star Wars comics, Disney owns it, Marvel owns it. It's a bunch of stuff. So, without further ado, we are going to pick out of, there's like 300 little sheets in here. We're going to pick how we're going to tell you how we felt about our number 3 issue by Hemingway reviews. Hemingway reviews are something we do on the site now and then. They are 6-word reviews because Hemingway said he could make you cry in 6 words. We are mostly just going to inform you of something. I don't think you'll cry.
You won't laugh. You probably won't cry.
If it was my number 2, you might cry.
Yeah.
My number 2 broke my heart.
Did it?
Looking at you,
But will your Hemingway break our heart?
No. So, we're going to get to it.
Who's first?
Who's up first? All right. My number 3 comic of the month was this one, Cal number 7.
Good comic.
Great comic. Chicago Organized Workers League, a union of superheroes. And my Hemingway review is Pierce Lives On, New Chicago 6. If you've read it, you would understand.
Yeah.
The end of the comic is pretty sweet. This guy dies in the last issue. How does he live on? You have to read it.
Whew. It was good. I jaw dropped. It's not the first time in Cowl. I was so happy because...
And you get a look at a new villain, which I was kind of waiting for in the first 6 issues.
Super cool.
But, yeah.
I chose for my number 3, Rumble number 2 came out. And my Hemingway review is...
How can that be number 3? Okay.
It's number 3. There's 2 other ones that were better than it. Awesome Creatures, Fast Action, Mr. Bildad. Much like Seth's, had you read the comic, you would understand. This thing is full of weird, inventive creatures. It's about a scarecrow god with a sword who wants to...
Don't go too in-depth.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's kind of it's pretty cartoony, but it's laugh out loud funny. Everything about it. And Mr. Bildad.
Colby?
So go read it. Figure out who Mr. Bildad is.
Alright, mine was Hellboy and the BPRD 1952.
Number 2.
Number 2, yes, to be clear, thank you. Maleev Arcudi, Do Young Hellboy Justice. It's basically Hellboy at the beginning, or he's probably a teenager, I'd say. There's a lot of back history of Hellboy nobody knows because basically we know he was, discovered in 42. Was it 42? Yeah, pretty much. And then 50 years later, 1994, we have comics with an adult Hellboy, etc. So this is giving us some detail of Hellboy's younger life. It's awesome.
And who are Malievin?
They are... Arcudi's the writer, Maliev's the artist.
Arcudi also writes Rumble.
Yeah, and they're doing Mignola's vision of Hellboy justice is what I'm trying to say there. Huge.
All right. Awesome. Well, for our number 2, we are going to do 30 seconds. We're each going to take 30 seconds to try and convince you that this was one of the second best comic of the month. And like I said, we read a lot of comics, so it's quite an honor. You're welcome, Rumble, Hellboy, and the BPRD, and Powell.
I'm going to get right to it.
Do it.
My number 2 of the month is Lazarus, number 14.
Wait. Collect your thoughts. Yeah.
Time on me.
Let's throw a little time. Ready? And off to the races.
Rook as Lazarus, number 14. Forever and her family are all gathered together at this place in the Atlantic Ocean, kind of a meeting of the minds of all the families. Forever's in a weird spot. She's trying to like figure out what her place in the Carlisle family is. And in this issue, for the first time, she's kind of doing her own thing, not listening to her dad so much. And
you're done.
Go for it. Read it.
It's great. It's always good. Do you read it?
I don't. I've got the first
Read it,
trade.
Colby.
I'm going to delve into it.
Step your game up,
It's
man.
on my stack, dude.
All right, Nick.
All right. My number 2 is Death Vigil by Stephen Sijic. It's very Norse. Death Vigil. You probably aren't reading it. It's on Image. It's about this group of dead people that follow the Grim Reaper and fight demons. This one, it came back. It was only supposed to be 6 issues, but now it's 8. And somebody in it died, and it was heartbreaking and beautiful. I loved it.
All right, Bitch Planet number 2. I am in love with what DeConnick is doing for this arc. I mean, there's feminism for sure. There's non-compliance. Basically, there's seemingly two planets right now. There's Bitch Planet, which is basically a women's prison for all the women that have not been compliant, to Father Earth. Earth is
4 seconds.
patriarchy.
Yeah.
Right? Patriarchy. So
Time.
this is about rebellion.
So that was pretty good.
Remember how Colby started like really fast to try and get an extra second in?
Yeah, we saw that, Colby.
Dick. Okay.
I stuttered.
Number 1, we are going to absolutely gush over.
So my number 1 for the month of January is Odyssey, number 2. Matt Fraction's retelling of Homer's The Odyssey. The advertising for it calls it a gender-bent, eye-popping, psychedelic sci-fi Odyssey, and it very much is that. All the male characters of Greek mythology and of the Odyssey are female, and vice versa. And this issue picks up with a short retelling of Zeus's murder of his father and the Titans, and also his murder, or her in the comic, of her children, kind of to stop any overthrow of the Greek throne, I guess, in mythology. One of the ways Zeus goes about this is by imprisoning her son, or her daughter, Prometheus in Greek mythology, and Promethean revolts in a way by creating a new sex. In this way, they're able to create life without Zeus, and this new sex is called Sebex, and it's a female person able to conceive another woman's offspring without a male involved. And this is kind of how they create this world where all females kind of propel life, and they kind of reduce the patriarchy of it. But then we get into Odysseus' story, or in Odyssey, it is Odyssea, and she is taking her crew from the Trojan War through space back home to get to her husband, but they stop on this planet, and this planet is Lotus World. This is where Promethean kind of rests and comes up with the third sex, Sevex, and she does this by getting high on Lotus, and it has now become a world of hedonism and gluttony, and kind of my favorite part about this issue is just the way in which they depict this world, just layers and layers of different hedonistic, rooms where people just get what they want.
It's almost like the 7 deadly sins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have sex. They get to riot. They get to fight. They get to release their anger. Odysseia, while her crew is taking their time on Lotus World, takes her concubine, who is a Sebex, and her name is Eero. Eero and Eero and Odysseia go down to the lower reaches of the planet, kind of to a calm area, and they kind of discuss their situation. Odysseia and Eero realize that they can't be together once Odysseia gets home, and Eero believes that she will be able to sway her by asking her to carry her child, and Odysseia responds in a not so great fashion, and kind of ends very sad with Eero kind of getting left in Lotus World, kind of in a high, kind of with her life ending, and it kind of establishes Odysseia's love for her husband, even though she's been through this brutal long war. The art is sweet. Just the concept is so difficult to comprehend, but it's so well done. It plays straight. It's so good. That's why it's on my number 1 of the month.
I read it. I loved it. It was not in my top 3, but it was real close. So I read a lot of Matt Fraction. How Matt Fraction do you think it is?
Well, what's his most famous or most popular book?
We got Hawkeye. We got Casanova. We've got Satellite Sam.
Other
we've
than
got
his big
Sex Criminals.
publisher stuff, it's probably Sex Criminals, right?
Yeah, Sex Criminals.
Sex Criminals is very tongue-in-cheek, even though it's dealing with serious issues.
Mm-hmm.
This one is played very straight. It's very much... It sees the source material as important. So it doesn't try and change the tone of it. It is life and death, serious. But, it's trying to do something different. It's trying to turn this myth into something that can
Even
relate
more
to
fantastic.
the new world. It's traveling between planets rather than traveling between cities.
Mm-hmm.
You have all of the gender completely turned on its head.
Mm-hmm. Even in the letters, I've noticed him talking about learning how to write prose better, and it seems like he's super into this book, which is awesome. You can tell.
It's a labor of love, but more than that, it's more like it's almost like a report. He's doing lots of research. It seems to be hard to write, but it comes out in the quality too.
And you can tell him and Christian Ward are on the same exact page.
Absolutely.
They are so into it.
It's got to be a melding of the minds to get this kind of visual style along with the story. It's just so dense and so difficult. But
and as I was telling you earlier, I was left really disappointed in the first one, to be honest, because it was so dense.
Yeah.
And it didn't care if you understood what it was saying.
Definitely.
It just kept moving. And this one, it was such a clear vision.
It's more condensed. The story is not as sprawling as the previous one, but it
was just on point. This is what I wanted the first one to be like. Although I did think it was going to be more of a young adult, powerful woman thing, but it's definitely an adult story. I feel bad if I'm reading it at school. There's a lot of naked women.
But it's not sexualized.
Well, there aren't really any men. Aphrodite is a man.
I guess that's true.
And he's a god. There's a couple dudes, but that's it.
It's
I
mostly
think it's profound that the women can have a child together. How much of society's woes would that solve?
And it's thought through, They could have just been like, I'm just going to change all the characters, but that's a way to make it somewhat realistic. It's through this third sex.
This asexual side of it.
But yeah, really good.
Super good. Probably the best art of the month.
I think so.
I've been blown away twice. My pile because I haven't read it yet, but I so want to.
You should. You'll love it.
So, Nick, you're next.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go for
My very favorite comic of January was Deadly Class, number 10.
it.
Number 10. This was my favorite comic of 2014. It's written by Rick Remender and drawn by Wes Craig. It is about a school of assassins set in 1985, and our main character Marcus feels he was robbed of his parents because Ronald Reagan released all these. He cut health funds, and all of these people in asylums were released, and one of them committed suicide, and in jumping off this bridge landed on his parents, and he was orphaned because of it. That's first issue stuff.
That's
10 issues
an
later,
accurate tie-in.
he still wants to murder Ronald Reagan. That's what he goes to school for. That's his major, presidential murder, which is awesome. But
Death by dementia.
yeah, you'll see on the cover that is his nemesis. His name is
Just say it.
Fuckface, and that's his crew. They are a bunch of sociopaths, and lucky for Marcus, his crew is this like up-and-coming class of assassins. What made this definitely the kicker for me? There's this love triangle in this book, and Marcus is dating Maria, but he's got a crush on Saya, and just by saying that, I think I relate how much of like a high school drama this is. And it's awesome. Everything about it. Like, Remender just hits every little note that I want when he's talking about like high school romance, like I like her but I'm with her and blah blah blah, all that dumb junk that you thought about in high school. And big spoiler alert, if you haven't read this one, please you shouldn't be listening to this one right now, but him and Saya get together after a night of drinking way too much, and that's a big deal, but my very favorite, maybe second favorite, but very favorite, he's late to work. He wakes up drunk in a graveyard with this girl that he's had a crush on the entire series, and is like, oh my god, I have to get to the comic shop, because he works at a comic shop. Yes. And he goes screaming through the streets, and he has this inner monologue of, holy crap, I messed up so bad last night, and now I'm 2 hours late to work, and I'm going to mess everything up. And then at work, he literally shits his pants so hard that he just has to leave. It's so good. I was laughing. I felt terrible. I am a person that has woken up 2 hours late for work because of...
Have you had the Bukowski beer shits at work?
I didn't know. I did not shit my pants at work. But I have had that feeling of panic where you are running and you're like, I should be fired. And it was just too perfect. It was so funny. He's thinking about the girls, he's thinking about his job, he's asking like the big questions, why am I doing any of this? And it's too funny. And then, more plot oriented, it gets into their raid on Fuckface and his family's house. And it hits the fan. Everything, like, the whole issue was just literal shit hitting the fan. And it was so good. And at the end, there's a cliffhanger that I've been calling it for a while now, that Saya and Maria are going to have the most awesome lady fight ever. So, the art is always good. The color schemes are always good. Remender, I feel like Remender is having a blast doing this, and he said in some of the letters pages that a lot of this is taken from his real life. He was like an 80s punk rock asshole kid, and that's exactly what this is about. And it's even to the point where the first arc, which is about tripping balls in Vegas and getting in a fist fight in a convenience store, that was something he did. And that's super cool and makes it all the more, like, tangible in this book. I can't stress how much I just love Deadly Class.
So, I've been reading this book too. I really do like it, especially the art, panel layout. And stuff.
Super cartoony, but...
Yeah. With that said, how do you feel that the high school drama parts of it come off? Is it very cliche? Is it like CW, or is it, you know, more real to life?
I think it's totally real to life. One of the things I liked about the first issue was the headmaster, I forget his name, he's like some sensei, master splinter sort,
Yeah.
and he says, in my school there's no drugs, there's no sex, there's no blah blah blah, and you list out all these rules, and then they show them at a party, and there's people like having sex, smoking joints, and it's just complete disregard for what's going on.
The headmaster's there? Or?
No, the headmaster's not there. This is what they do on the weekends. And that, plus my own experience in high school, I was a really good kid. I didn't do any of that stuff, so I don't know about that. But, I mean, the romance, all that stuff, I don't think it's CW style at all. I think it's real deal. I work at a high school. I hear, like, people, where's your homework? My boyfriend broke up with me. It's just like, oh my god. Just, you guys could not have been that attached after 1 month of texting each other.
And going along with that, the love triangle, with the tone of the book, where do you think that ends up? Where do you think these three people, how do you think they resolve this?
How do I think it's going to go down?
Yeah.
Ooh, we talked about this the other day. Saya is so powerful, right? But Maria, I feel terrible for her. And Marcus is kind of
Been a D.
a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we like Saya more or less than Maria,
You're supposed to like Saya more, though.
you're supposed to like Saya more.
Saya more.
Yeah, the stack is decked. The deck is stacked. But either way, he is a D. He shouldn't be cheating on his girlfriend, who is right now Maria. Colby's like, I should really read these books.
I just can't believe like a Remender signature arc has gotten by me.
But I think because we're supposed to like Saya so much, I have to say that like I think Maria's out. But
I don't
Remender will totally kill Saya if he feels like it.
Because of the tone, I don't think it's going to end up how we are supposed to want it to end up. So
Somebody going to die.
I either
Someone's
think
probably gonna
they're
die,
both
yeah.
out of it, or he ends up staying with Maria.
But they're all super hard. Like they're all like trained killers. Maria is sweet.
Who trained these people?
The
families
sensei guy and their families, and they go to college for assassinating people. So, like Maria, she throws on this like Day of the Dead makeup and gets these knives, and she's unstoppable. Saya just has like a samurai sword, and like she'll hijack a car and drive it through your face. It's awesome. Like everything about it's awesome, and it's a bunch of bad bitches, and I don't know who is gonna win. It's so good.
And that's why it's your number one.
That's why it's my number one. See you next month.
My favorite issue for January was Rumble number 2. We've got Arcudi, Heron, and Stewart, my Hellboy BPRD writers, artists. Love them, and they're not letting us down with Rumble, not at all. We've got more demons this issue. We've got Rathrak is back, the Scarecrow. He's got his sword. He's using it on demons. He is not using it on men and women so far. And he says he's here to protect us. Rathrak is after Kogan. He's that old guy in issue 1. He was in the bar. He stiffed Bobby with an IOU, a cryptic IOU. He said it was an IOU, but it looked like a bunch of hieroglyphs. Anyway, we don't know what Kogan is. He might be a human. He might be a demon. Right now we can't really tell whether humans can pass, or demons can pass as humans, etc. Anyway, Bobby the bartender behind the scenes is trying to figure things out. He's got a friend who happens to know somebody that can translate Phoenician. And
Linguist or something.
Yeah, some linguist friend, female.
That neither of them have a shot.
Neither of them have a shot whatsoever at this Phoenician translator. Anyway, she translated it and turns out to be an IOU for $75. The only thing off by that is he actually owes $82.50. Whether there's meaning in that or not, we don't know.
I laughed.
I did laugh too. There could be meaning. I don't know. We shall see. In the end, Rathrak is taunted by this ugly, large, tribal-looking demon. He's got a hula skirt. He's got a bone necklace. Dave Stewart has pretty much screwed up any image you've ever had of a sexy Hawaiian hula girl with this portrayal of a demon. And turns out he's a fire demon, which does not bode well when you're a scarecrow. Why not?
I mean, there's like one part who's like, boop!
Right.
He's like, no good.
Scarecrows are made of hay.
What?
Hay.
I get it now.
So we have a few answers, but not many. We've got a cat that eats himself into some ginormous, that's Bildad, some ginormous thing that we're not going to know what he is until issue 4, because issue 3, it turns out, looks like it's going to be an origin issue. So you'll have to wait, but you're going to know more about our Scarecrow God, which is exciting. I don't know, I love this series. I stumbled onto it, and I will never regret it. Thank you.
Alright, so Rumble number 2. I think we've all read this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of liked it. I mean, you guys loved it. I'm on the fence, sort of. I like it, but how would you speak to the art style? It's definitely very cartoony. It feels like a cartoon.
Definitely.
As far as like the mood or the tone, is it funny? Is it
dark comedy.
dark comedy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
There's even like an anime scene kind of in it. You were talking to it, the IOU scene.
yeah.
Kind of feels like an anime reaction from.
Definitely.
How would you speak to that?
Well, you're spot on. I don't know. I mean, even some of the demons are. I mean, the eyes of the cat, and there's definitely an anime sense to it, and that's gonna be. I mean, Stewart does the colors, but that's Heron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there's like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
vibe
I mean,
to
like
it.
with when they're shadowed and the. I mean, that's totally like a. Saturday
Does that
morning
change
cartoon.
how you view what'll come next, kind of?
This doesn't seem
what
like a book that's
expecting.
going to take itself very seriously.
Yeah,
But it's also probably going to stick to what it's doing. Does that even make sense? It's gonna keep being it,
Covered all
but
the
it's not going to like. It's never gonna. We're never gonna be like tearing up at these issues or anything, or like.
Well,
I don't know, man.
no, I agree with what you're saying, but he's right. There's some huge transitions between pages as far as what the art looks like, and it's
You get like
pretty cool.
to
I
get a
think
lot-
it's super
I mean,
cool.
You don't see that variance much in comics these days.
Mhm.
I mean, when Bobby's in trouble, you can tell that Bobby's in trouble.
And I
It's
kind of
not
like the
comedic looking
starkness
at
of Wrathrack is just kind of like plain,
Yeah.
simple.
And half the time he's in motion or completely still.
Yeah.
You know, he's just. But other times it's just like.
When he wakes up and he's on his bed, it's too funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I mean. Like it's very
Kind
playful,
of
though.
squatting there at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
It's either a huge action scene where he's cutting the heads off the demons, or you have these scenes where it's very Saturday morning cartoony.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, and it's violent and the
But not violent because he's like killing demons. It's
Exactly,
not
yeah.
like.
There are a lot of quick motion scenes.
It's very
More than I've seen in most comics.
Yeah.
kinetic.
But I like it.
Yeah, it is very kinetic.
So that was our top 3 comics of January. Just to close out this video, we're going to do a quick one thing that we were disappointed by this month. Not so much like our worst comic, because that's a little too easy, but something we were looking forward to, something we were disappointed by. I'll start off, and it's a comic that I love a lot, and this arc just ended up, but something I take really seriously, especially if you're going to do it, Nick knows,
I know.
is cover design. And some comics decide to do a theme that follows through the whole arc. And Sex Criminals does this. And the
Any
first-
favorites that do that?
Any favorites? Of this month, Cal does it.
Cowl does do it.
It's a one character shot, kind of. Yeah, Wicked
I'm
and
big
Divine
into
does
Wicked
the
and
same
Divines
thing.
sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Along those lines, Sex Criminals in the first arc did a very cool theme through the issue 1 through 5, kind of color scheme,
monochromatic,
corresponding to a character, and they do that in issue 2. And I'll show you, or in the second arc. In the second arc, I'll show you the covers, which are terrible. And
they are not
so
the best.
Got issue 5, issue 6, issue 7, issue 8, issue 9, issue 10. I think I'm missing one in there. No, that's fine.
They should be in there.
I'm missing 6, but whatever. You get the point. It's very computer animated. It's very lame. It's very... they just look bad, I think, in my mind. And
do.
also, going along with that, the last 2 issues on Arc don't even follow the same style as the first, few.
I was saying yesterday that maybe...
Is it the same artist that does the comic?
Yeah,
Chip
same
Zdarsky.
everything.
I was saying yesterday maybe Chip Zdarsky got a really expensive computer software to do these, and he really wants to use them.
That was really cool, man. I mean,
I think the pill one's cool.
This is cool, but these are terrible.
I think this one is the worst.
And then you got the last 2 of
But then
Arc
I know
that don't even follow.
No, this one's awful.
This one is awful.
That one makes Seth barf.
I almost didn't want to buy it, but then I can't do that. But it's terrible. And everyone knows it. And for a comic I love so much, that's my pit of the month.
The insides of those are great.
I was gonna say.
I love the comics. They're great. But hopefully the next issue or the next arc,
cover.
hopefully the next arc, redeems it with the covers.
The first arc was so pretty.
Yeah, it was good.
My pick of the month is, as you'll learn, we are big Jason Aaron fans. He is writing the new Star Wars. That's in part 3 of the hits. But he also writes this little limited series for Icon, which is Marvel, Marvel's Dark Horse.
Not Marvel's Dark Horse, Marvel's Vertigo.
Marvel's Vertigo, perfect. It started off so good, and it's a 5-issue series, and we're at the penultimate issue, number 4. And I've been on the fence about it since issue 3. I thought the first 2 issues were really good. And in this issue, let me set this up a little bit. Spoilers if you haven't read it, but, I mean, would you even say it's worth reading at this point? I don't know. It's like a brutal tale of a father who is hired to murder his son because he is like the best assassin in the world, it seems like. Their last name is Wrath. R-A-T-H, and they have this history of violence that has defined them through the years. So what has defined Reuben, the son, is he goes on this job, and it just seems at this point that Reuben is just a terrible, terrible criminal. He's got this pseudo heart of gold, and he just can't do anything right. Well, he does everything right, which makes for a bad criminal. Mm-hmm. He is hired to go murder these horses on a pasture. And he's like, I can't do it because I'm a wussy. I don't know, he just can't murder a horse. I couldn't. I would not have taken that job. Whatever. Anyway, he's run out, and everyone makes fun of him for being such a wussy. This issue sees him finally realizing the only way out of this situation where my dad is trying to murder me for money is murdering my dad. So he's got this woman he's impregnated, and he leaves her, and he should have died in the 3rd episode, or the 3rd issue. He gets away. His wife and future child are fine, and he goes, I gotta murder my dad. That's the only way we're gonna do this. His dad is Ira, who is basically a Terminator, and he drives off to go murder his dad, but on the way, there's no way this pasture is on the way to his dad's house. He stops and looks at the horses in that pasture and looks at one specific horse and pulls out a gun and he's like, I can do this. It's in my blood. I just assume they talk like slack-jawed idiots, but he shoots a horse to prove...
So then it's done, and why does he need to kill his dad?
But he's got
the horse
blood. He's got the Ira blood.
He's got that Wrath blood inside him. It's all hot and crazy.
So now
and now that he can kill this horse, he knows he can go and kill his pa.
And that's the only way out.
But like, it's so cliche and so lame. Like, I'm gonna drive to that pasture, I'm gonna kill that horse so good, I'm gonna make my dad proud. Who I'm gonna kill though? I'm gonna kill my dad though. Even though I wanna make him proud. I miss him. It's just so... Jason Aaron,
Conflict.
I know, so I don't have any kids. Maybe, I mean, I can only hope to have a kid, like, have a son someday that hates me that much, but... Jason Aaron, like, this is the second to last issue, and it was so just cliche. I let a lot slide, but...
Yeah, you did.
The whole, I'm a wrath, it's in my blood, die, My Little Pony. Like, that, it's so dumb. It was so dumb and unnecessary. So would have been a lot cooler if he would have just kicked in the door and killed his dad like a man. We all did that when we were 17, right?
No. You killed him? No.
Yeah, he's dead. I mean, he's dead.
Your dad's dead?
Your turn. He's dead.
My pits was Fantastic Four 642. I think it was the pits mostly. It's probably my fault that it's the pits, but
why is that?
because I haven't read every single thing that Marvel is doing right now to lead up to this issue. Anyway, I picked it up because I know that this is the third or fourth end, but final end of the Fantastic Four, and I want to see how it goes down. But I'm kind of clueless. Feel like I need to read a lot more things, or at least follow a bunch of blogs to figure out this one issue. So,
who writes it?
Fail. I didn't bring it with me.
I didn't bring it around with me.
I forgot we were doing the pits. Anyway, I'll stick with it. So Marvel, you have at least, you know, me for the Fantastic Four issues. I think there's four of these issues they're doing before they're done. Fantastic Four is over.
So this is completely...
Till the movie and they're reborn.
How'd you feel about the trailer?
I actually liked the trailer. Did you like the trailer?
I thought...
For you?
What more did you want? It's a teaser.
He's snickering.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, what?
I'm all about turning any character black. I'm so into it. Like, it's time. I'm sorry. All these characters were invented in the 50s and 40s. Turn them all black.
No,
That's awesome.
They need to be black and they need to be women.
Black, women, black women, whoever. But the only thing I'm a little confused about is Sue Storm and Johnny Storm were brother and sister, so that's a little bit weird. But I don't think it really should matter.
Yeah.
Maybe they're adopted or something.
Maybe they're adopted. Maybe there'll be some like overtly racist awfulness where Sue Storm's like, "What's up, my brother?" And it's really awkward. That would be pretty cool. Sue Storm is that chick from House of Cards.
Oh, wait, we're rambling.
That's fine.
Yeah, you are rambling. Did you want to tell us about the
I just like that chick from House of Cards. I think she's going to be a good Sue Storm. And the dude that's playing Mr. Fantastic looks exactly like my childhood brain remembers Mr. Fantastic, like facially.
Yeah.
And I like that thing part where it's like... And like all the shit cracked.
Like he's basically breaking out of this
his
lava
weird
stone
lava
texture thing. Yeah.
We're not rambling.
Just a little bit.
Anyway, I like Fantastic Four. You can kill them, but bring them back.
They will. Don't worry. They bring everyone back.
Definitely bring them back.
That's true. It's Marvel.
So that wraps up our top 3 of January 2015. Make sure you tune in next month. We will always have these top 3s. And February is looking already really promising. Part 2 of the hits is the best first issue, number ones that came out this month that we think you guys should already be reading. And part 3 is dedicated wholly to Star Wars issue 1, which was funny enough, not any of our number ones this month, but we feel it's so important it gets its own little part. So thanks for tuning in. Leave comments, let us know how we're doing, tell us any comics we should be reading, and
till next time.
Till next time, we're from CoverJudgers.com. Yeah, like us up, and we'll talk to you next month.